Today we're talking about how to hatch your own stuff, and once you get chicks, how to keep them alive. There have been a lot of people who have been asking questions in reference to this, and there's a lot of people who are buying chicks for the first time and need to know how to make them not only survive but thrive. So we're gonna go over how to hatch. We're gonna start from the very beginning, and then we're gonna move along to how to keep them alive once you get them, because that's important too. You don't want to lose your investment. Definitely don't want to lose your investment. So I let me get myself up here. And so I can see the chat once people start coming. I see there are 3 people in here already, right? Am I on the right? I hope I'm on the right platform, because sometimes I get confused. So we're talking about how. Hello, Diary of a Fat Girl. How you doing? Oh, I haven't come up on my screen yet. Let me see. Um, So I'm talking about chickens and chicks and quail and all of those things today, and how to keep your stuff alive. Now, I know that there's a lot of people who are first time chick owners, and good. How are you today? Oh, I'm fine. And you, Diary of a Fat Girl? I'm just fine. I was talking to my neighbor today. This is how this all came up. I was talking to my neighbor today, and she was like, well, my husband and I are thinking about getting some chickens. And there's a difference between buying chickens and buying chicks, because chicks are a lot more fragile than chicks. Not only do I purchase chicks because I want some purebred chicks, but I also, from back here, I hatch my own. So we're going to talk briefly about how to hatch your own chicks, and then we'll go on to the care of chicks if you purchase them or if you hatch them yourself, because you don't want to go through. It takes about 21 days for a chick to hatch, and about 17 days for a quail chick to hatch. And once they hatch, they're going to be super small and super fragile. So there's some things that you have to do as soon as you get them. So let me get myself up here on this thing. Okay. Here it is. Okay. So first things first, I have 3 incubators going right now. One has eggs in it, and 2 of them have eggs in it. Most of the eggs that are in there, if not all of them, are from my flocks. So let me show you what I do. I went and I got tired of purchasing chicks, because chicks are running for a straight run. It's about $5 now, but for a purebred or heritage breed bird, it's gonna cost you about $7, $8. And then if they're ultra specific, it's gonna run you about $10, $11. And they're going up, up, up. So I've been hatching my own, and this is the kind of incubator I use, the smart incubator, right? So first things first, you're gonna get your eggs, right? You are not gonna wash them. If you can buy fertilized eggs, by the way. People are selling them all over the place. Facebook, Craigslist. You just ask them, and if they have a rooster, their eggs are gonna be fertile, most likely. So you're gonna buy some fertilized eggs. You are not gonna get them refrigerated, and you're not gonna wash them. See that? I don't care if they're dirty. Even if they're dirty, you use them. Do not wash them off. There was one lady who was saying to wash them, but I don't recommend that. There is a bloom on the eggs. This is why you can keep fresh eggs that have never been washed on your countertop for about a week, 10 days without refrigeration. These eggs are made to be hatched. That's how they come out of the chicken. So I take the eggs, and this thing has a rack in it that holds about 12 eggs and about 24 quail. But we're going to talk about chickens because most people have chickens. So after day 17, right, this thing automatically rotates. It's called a smart incubator, right? It runs about $30 to $40 now. It was in the 20s a couple of months ago. Maybe it'll go back down. This thing has this inside, right? You're going to put your eggs in each slot. There are 12 slots here, right? And every day, this thing rotates twice a day, just like a chicken would do, right? And on the bottom of it, there's a tray. So you see I have this styrofoam still on? This is not just packaging material, and this thing got a bad rap because people were throwing this part and the bottom part away. Keep the styrofoam. The temperature of the eggs has to remain between 100 and 101 degrees. Or, that's Fahrenheit, let me see, 38 degrees Celsius. Has to. This one is 40 degrees Celsius, but that's all right. So this is Fahrenheit. These two are running at Fahrenheit, and this one is running at Celsius. So on day, I say 2 weeks in, go ahead and candle your eggs. And by candling, you take the egg out, right? And you're going to take a flashlight. And you're going to put the flashlight. Let me see if I can find one of my flashlights. You're going to put the flashlight on the bottom of this, right? And if you can see all the way through the egg, that egg is not fertile. Do not use it. Hello, Mr. Motivator 35. How you doing? Oh, I'm blurry. So that egg is not fertile. That egg is not any good. So just toss that. It's after 2 weeks, 14 days. You put the flashlight underneath it. It's clear. If you can see all the way through, toss it. Don't eat it. Don't eat it or anything. Most likely the egg is no good at that time. If you see veins or if you see all dark, the egg is good. The egg is good and it is viable and you can use it. So let's go ahead. This is at day 17, you candle it. Day 10, you can candle it. Day 17, you take the rack out and you go ahead and you put some water in the reservoir. Now, not all reservoirs have a bottle, but at the bottom of this thing, there's a reservoir where it holds water and it puts humidity inside the dome. That's going to wake the chicken up and tell it, hey, it's almost time to hatch. And it gives it the humidity so that it doesn't get stuck to the chicken. You ever boil a fresh egg and all the egg was stuck to the side of, it was stuck and you peeled it and half your egg came off? Well, that's what happens to the chick if you don't put humidity in there. The membrane gets stuck to them. Now, there are people who do dry hatch. I practically do dry hatch because I don't add water until day 17. And lately, I've been getting almost 100% hatch rate. 100%. My last hatching was 100% hatch rate. I had one that was deformed. It didn't make it, but all of the fertilized eggs hatched, all of them. So day 10, you're going to candle your eggs. So let me go and get a flashlight and show you how to candle your eggs. Let's see. So I'll put this here. And we're going to get one of these fertilized eggs. And this one is too close to hatching. But this one, I think I can open. So you get a flashlight. Now, usually I use my phone to do this, right? You turn your light on, right? And you go into a dark space. These are due to hatch on the 9th. These go into lockdown on the 9th. So I'm still good here. And you can see I didn't have a lot of fertilized eggs in this one. So I'm going to take one of the green ones. Right. And this is most likely a fertilized egg. I've already candled these. So let's go to a dark spot. I'll show you what a fertilized egg looks like and what a one that is not fertile looks like. I'm going to grab one of these. See that? One is fertile, one isn't. We're going to do this real quick. I'm going into a dark room, right? Usually I do this at nighttime, and you're not going to see me. Oh, you can still see me. So what you do is you take this, right? You put it over the egg. You see how you can see all the way through that thing? That is not a fertile egg. Here is what a fertile egg looks like. Can't see through it. The only thing you're going to see is that air sac on the bottom. You see that? That is a fertile egg. Now let's hurry back over there and put this thing back in the incubator. Oh, I'll get that other. Well, let me get this egg before I break it. If it breaks, I'm gonna be like, oh my God, what? You forgot, girl. Let me hurry and get this one back in here, and then we'll go back to what we were saying. So this is at day 10 or day 10 through day 17. Day 17, I'm gonna take this rack out. I write the dates down on the top of the styrofoam so that I don't forget. I had one time where I forgot and I heard chirp, 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 and there were chicks in here and the rack was still in here. I had to hurry up and get them all. I get the rack out, and it was a mess. It was a complete mess. So I put that back. It's safe and sound. So day 17, day 10, you candle them. Day 17, you take the rack out and you put some water in the reservoir, whatever the reservoir is. With this one, it's a bottle, and you see this one has half water in it. That's because it took a bottle and a half. See, that one is half full, and you see there's condensation that built up inside here. See that down there? I hope you can. Condensation. There's no condensation here because I haven't added water yet. So day 17, you take the rack out, the rotation rack out, this, and you add water. Who is there? G Mama Grows Hard in the Garden. How you doing? So that is for chickens, right? You candle the eggs day 10, day 17, you take the rack out, add water, and then you just wait. You just wait. You make sure water stays in there too. If this water goes down, you keep on adding water so that the reservoir has enough water and there's always condensation to there, right? So around day 21, they're going to start hatching, if not before. Some days they hatch. I put the water in. The next day they're hatching because these eggs have been sitting out in the nest. Sometimes they've been sitting out in the nest for about 3-4 days. So, and maybe somebody laid on them. I don't know. So that's why I got this one. This came out from out in the woods. So I was like, I don't know how long these eggs have been out there, and I don't know if somebody's broody or not. So I got those incubated as soon as possible. And I made sure last night at midnight that I went ahead and I got that rack out and put the water in just in case I'm off by a couple of days. So I already told you that it has to be between 100, 101. That one's running about 99, but which that's fine. People say that it has to be a specific temperature, but think about it. Chickens are not. Hello, Country Hustle. I don't see. Oh, how you doing, Country Hustle? Welcome. So people say that it has to be a specific temperature, in my opinion, and a specific humidity. People put all kind of concoctions in there to make sure they test it. From what I know of this incubator, it's been working for me, and I don't do any of that. All I do is make sure that I plug it in, and that on day 17, I put water in there, and I get that rack out, and everything is fine. A chicken doesn't have a regulated temperature. I mean, I guess they do, but they get up and down and walk around, stretch their feet. It'll stay on that nest forever. So that chick is being exposed to different temperatures. That's why you could take it out, because, mama might get up and need to take a walk. That's why you could get out and you can candle them. You could take your rack out. By the way, when you're taking that rack out, you got to take all of your eggs out one by one, put them somewhere where they're not going to roll off and fall on the floor. Did that happen to me? I don't think so. I think it almost happened. What I do is I get a plate. G Mama, how many chicks can you hatch at once? In this incubator, I can hatch 12 chicken eggs and about 28 quail eggs. Because this right here, let me see if I have any double slots in there. So I already candled these, right? And I took the ones that were not fertile. My boys are not doing their job, the quail. But you can put 2 quail eggs in each. Then in those little slots on the sides, let me show you. I put eggs 2 in each slot, right? And then in these little slots right here, these 4 little slots, I put 4 more eggs. Because my boys ain't doing what they're supposed to be doing. I don't know what's up with them. They are not, I don't know, either the girls are not responding to them the way they should, or they ain't doing what they're supposed to be doing. That's how many I got out of 28 eggs. However, Quail are egg machines. Look at this. This is I think this may be 6 days. Quails lay eggs almost every day. I should say every day. Every day. So for chickens, day 17, you put the water and you take the rack out, and then you just wait. Just wait for it to hatch. Now there was a lady who says she washes her eggs. I do not recommend you wash your eggs. If they're dirty, scrape them off. I mean, just brush them off with a dry cloth as best you can and just leave it alone. Put it in the incubator dirty. You know that chickens, they lay in dirty places sometimes, and they still hatch their eggs. They'll lay right on top of the egg, and shoot, you think mama gets up and stretches her egg, but sometimes them nests are not nice. Mine are, because I change the hay all the time, or I change the pine all the time, but not all nests are nice. So she was like, wash your eggs. Do not wash your eggs. Don't do it. Let them be dirty. Let them be dirty and still hatch them. So let me see what G Mama said. G Mama says, so you can use the same one for quail eggs as chicken. Yep. There are companies selling quail incubators, and you don't have to do that. You can use a chicken incubator. Just double egg it. They're still gonna roll. When this thing goes around, it's still gonna roll your eggs. Still gonna roll your eggs. And when you candle them, well, you see they're in there. They're in there. And I've hatched. The most I've hatched at a time was 14 quail eggs. And this very same, and there's plenty of them. I mean, you don't have to get this one, but this is the one that I use. You see all of them say smart incubator, right? And there are different, you see, look at this, different names. They're not from the same company. This one's from a different company, which is why, I want not my water over. Different company. One doesn't even have a sticker on it. But that's the one I use, a smart incubator, which means that it go ahead and it rotates and it does its own thing, and you don't have to bother with it. The only thing you do is take those eggs out, put them on the regular rack without the rotation device, and put some water in it. Now, once they hatch, do y'all want me to go over quail? Let me finish with the chickens, and then I'll go on to the quail. That'll be more organized. So once you to day 21, they start hatching. If everybody, once the chicks hatch, do not take the chick out. I said, first of all, I wouldn't touch them even if they're dry. I wouldn't touch them for at least 24 hours. Chicks do not need water. Okay, I will, G Mama. I'll do that. I'll do it separate. So chicks, all chicks. I don't know about quail. Chicks, I don't touch anybody for 24 hours, to tell the truth. Chicks don't need water until you give them water. Once they have water, they got to have it. That's why they can ship chicks and they last, 3 days without water? 72 hours? I was like, wow, that's a lot. I only will let them stay in there for about 24 hours. And then I start taking chicks out. Because if you open that thing and a chick is wet or a chick is hatching, it's going to shrink wrap them. It changes the humidity in the dome. Most of the chicks hatch at the same time. And if you have a chick that is getting ready to hatch and you have some other chicks that need to come out, just leave that one in there. I told you they could go they could go for 3 days without water. So they'll be all fuzzy wuzzy, and another one will be wet and soppy wet, or it doesn't matter if they're wet. It matters if they're coming out of their shell and you open that dome, because you change the humidity level. And chickens are stronger. But if you do it to a quail, that quail most likely won't make it out of its shell. Don't open it. Don't open it. Always check to see if somebody's coming out. I wouldn't open it. Especially with quail, they're more delicate. So chicks are 21 days. You don't open that thing for 24 hours, or until, if you see somebody coming out, don't open it at all. You have up to 72 hours. They'll be all nice, fuzzy wuzzy, and they'll be running around. So I'm going to stop there for chickens, because here's where they all do the same thing. Quail, you're going to candle your eggs around day 10-ish. Quail hatch within 17 days. Doesn't take them as long. So I candled those quail eggs way ahead of time. right? And then I took the rack. No, I didn't take the rack. I take the rack out at about day 15. Now, quail is strange because I always wonder if they're gonna hatch because you'll go to you'll be on day 17, right? Because I take the rack out at day 15, right, and put the water in there and take the rack out. You see it's rotating right now. See that? It stopped. It was rotating. It just making a liar out of me. So I take the rack out at day 15, right? And just laying back in there with some water, right? Which is gonna happen very soon. I think that's on the 10th. I write it down on the styrofoam. I don't know. Oh, you saw it, G Mama? Okay, good. So I take the rack and I put water in it, and then day 17, I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh man, none of them are hatching. I wonder if I did something wrong. And I'll go outside to the yard and I'll come back in and I'll hear something running around. I'm like, what is that? Because they don't make a lot of noise. Quail don't make a lot of noise. Sometimes it's scary because I can't see in there, but then I'll hear shuffle, 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 shuffle. And I'm like, what is that noise? Where's my dogs, right? Not the dogs. They're in there running around like cockroaches. I mean, that's what I compare them to. Man, once they all hatch, you open that. Okay, day 50, day 10, you candle them. Day 15, you put the water. And around day 17, 18, maybe 19, they'll hatch. And they'll all hatch at the same time, most likely. And if they're not hatching, if you have one, it's going to be hard because eggshells are going to be all over the place. You got to look in and see if somebody is coming out. Because if you open that and a quail is trying to come out, it gets shrink wrapped and it won't make it. It won't make it. All of that. It's hard. And quail eggshells are not like chicken eggshells. Quail eggshells are harder to get out of. The shell is different. It's like compared to chicken eggs, it's more rubbery. It's harder for them to come out. I don't know how to get out of there. I really don't, because I can't even open a quail shell. It's like you have to crack it and then peel it. I have a special tool to open quail shells. So if you see an egg that's still there and it's 24 hours, don't open the dome. Let them stay in there. Give that last egg a chance to come out, unless you say that's good enough. I got enough quail. You could take the chance of opening it, but if that quail has already pecked a little hole through, you open the dome and all that humidity comes out and it gets shrink wrapped. So let me go over the timeline for quail. Quail, you candle them about day 10. Day 15, you take the rack out and you put the water in the reservoir. Day 17 through day 19, maybe 20, all the quail are going to start hatching. They all hatch at the same time most of the time. Within about 36 hours, all of them will be out. All of them that are viable will be out. Every now and then I make a mistake and there's an egg in there that's no good. People say that, it could explode, but that has never happened to me. Thank goodness. I hope it never does. So the difference between quail and chicken chicks is that quail are the size about an inch. They're about an inch high, right? So once you have all your chicks, because I have brooded all of these will probably get brooded together until I get to the point where I have to separate them, because for the first week, I can keep everybody in the same place, right? There's a difference though between, it's risky doing quail and chicken chicks together because quail are so small that I have to use a lid, right? Imagine that this has a bottom in it, right? And I have to put rocks in here because the quail is so small. I told you about an inch, and look at that. If you don't put rocks into the little cap with water, they could drown themselves. So you go out there into your yard and get some Rainbow River rocks, wash them off, whatever rocks you can find, or go to Dollar Tree and get some rocks and sprinkle them in there to the point where they're almost to the top. The quail, and then when you put the quail in or you put the chicken in, dip their beaks into the water so that they know that there's water in here, and they're gonna run on top of it and do everything. When I put the chicken chicks and the quail chicks together, all of them I put water and rocks in here, and all of them are drinking out of a little reservoir. A little reservoir. Imagine there's a bottom on this. A little reservoir with rocks, and they just stuck their little beaks in, because chicken chicks are about double the size of a quail chicks. Quail chicks, I mean, they're actually the size of the first digit of your finger. They're very small. And when you open this thing out, they all run out. You got to be real careful. Now, first time it's frightened me because they run fast. They just run all over the counter like cockroaches. I'm serious. It's weird. Chicken chicks don't do that. Well, chicken chicks are more, robust. They don't run as fast. But them quail, they're running for their life. They don't know where they're running to. They just running. They just going. They were behind, you see, I washed my dish, they were behind there. They were behind the box. I just wanted to make sure, if I were you, I'd put a barrier up. That's how bad it is. Put a barrier, dam up where they can't get out. Okay, so now we're getting to the brooder part, right? So you have your cap with your water and your rocks, right? You could do this for chicken chicks also, because some of them are clumsy also. And you just dip their little beak in there and give them their first taste of water. After they get their first drink of water, the chicks have to have water. That's why they don't give them any water when they're shipping them to the stores. For quail and for chicken chicks, just sprinkle, get a paper bag and get some, it's called chick starter. Now they say, and I don't follow the rules, but trust it or believe it or not, y'all know me, right? They say that you're supposed to use wild game bird feed for the quail, but I give them all chick starter, all of them. Quail chicks, chicken chicks, doesn't matter to me. And mine are still alive. They're still here. They're thriving. So I don't know. It's 20% protein. I don't know if there's a different, ratio of nutrients, but they seem to be just fine. All I told you, I raise them all together. If they hatch all around the same time, they're all going in the brooder. Because I gave my brooder, well, I sold some of my brooders, but I gave some of them away. So another thing you're going to need is get a paper bag and just sprinkle their food on top of a paper bag. And they'll find the food, because a quail they could barely get over this thing. That's why you got to fill this thing with rocks, right? Just get a paper bag and spread their food out on the paper bag. And the chicken chicks and the quail chicks will eat from the paper bag. If you have chicken chicks, you can probably get away with a feeder, but not quail chicks. Not quail chicks. You go ahead and put some rocks in there. The food, just sprinkle it around, because they're going to make a mess anyway. They're going to make a mess. It's fighting a losing battle, especially for the first week. I just get a little bottle of feed, put it to the side, and then when I see that, I look in and I see that they don't have any feed, I just sprinkle some more on the newspaper. And if they poo on the newspaper or on the paper bag that I use, I just take the paper bag, crumple it up, throw it in the trash, put another piece or cut a piece of paper bag. You don't have to use the whole paper bag. Sprinkle some more out, and then they'll come to it. In about a week, the quail are going to double in size. I would still feed them out of a lid with some rocks in it up until about week 3. Then they should be big enough. They should be just as big as newborn chicken chicks, and the probability of them drowning themselves is less. So what you need in the brooder, I'm going to show you what I have for a brooder and what I use in my brooder. So I told you about the water. I told you about the food, right? Y'all have to excuse my table. I'm still soaking some seeds. This is a heater. This thing runs about $30. Reptile Pat Pad is going to run you about the same amount of money, maybe a little bit less. But this thing, the bottom of it is a heater. And you just press this little thing, and it could go as low or as high as you want, which is important. When I first started hatching chicks, I didn't have that. I just got this. What I had was a heating pad for my back. And that's what I put my chicks on. And it worked. I just put the little blue pad on. Y'all know what I'm talking about, from CVS or from whatever. So this is just a tote. You don't have to have a tote. You use a paper box. I put some holes in the top You can do the very same thing with paper box, by the way. This is my brooder. See that? Right? So I put that thing right there. How you doing, bro, farmer? I put that heater in there. I put the little cap full of water. If it's chickens, I could use a feeder. If I could use a feeder and a drinker. But for quail, go ahead and use a cap and a paper bag. Then inside, I thought I had this thing set up. Inside, okay, I did, but somebody got loose and I put him in here as punishment. So inside, I keep a light, all right, because I don't want them to start crying. I don't like to hear it, right? Then this is when they get bigger. And here's like a little bowl of food that somebody apparently scratched in. And you see I have a whole bunch of pine shavings here. I put this chick was in punishment because he got out in the yard and he came in here and tore this thing up for me. So that's all you need. You need something for water. You definitely need, this is why most people's chicks don't make it, the heater. That's why they don't make it. The heater, or they forget to give them water. They always have to have water. If you're giving them a cap of water and you got to go to work, I put out like 3 or 4 caps with rocks in it of water, because depending on how many you have, that is. So just to make sure they never run out of water. The last thing you want to do is come back and find them, gone because they're dehydrated. That's number 2. I think the food, they'll find food because you're spreading it out all over the place and they're going to kick it all over the place. There's nothing you can do about it. They're just going to make a mess, but it's going to be in the brooder, so you'll be fine. When you put your pine shavings in, go ahead and put a lot of them in there so that you don't have to do it again. Because if you I was just putting like a little thin layer, and then every almost every day, I'd have to go in there and clean it out and put a little bit more in there. Just put about 1 inch, 2 inches in there of pine shavings, so you don't have to be bothered. And they'll compost itself because they're digging around the whole time. And I think that is it. Does anybody have any questions? After the main thing, I forgot one thing. You do not put the chicks outside until they're fully feathered. For quail, I kick those jokers out at about 5 weeks. They're not fully feathered, but they're resilient. And plus it's warm here. If it's cold where you are, quail are full grown at 7 weeks. They start crowing like, it's like, that's how the males are. And then you don't want to hear that sound because you don't want a bunch of males. And then the females they'll start laying at 7 weeks. They're grown. Chickens, 6 months. That's the difference. If you want to get eggs almost immediately, go ahead and get some quail because you'll have some eggs in about 7 weeks. Definitely. If you have females. Let me see what's going on in the chat. How many males to female quail is in what? I can get it. Let me get it over here. Let's see. G Mama grows hard. How many males to female quails, or is that a thing? Yes. You don't want a bunch of male. They'll tear. Same thing with the chickens. Chickens, I'd say they're like oversexed. Birds are oversexed. They will chase down your hens and tear. All the hair in the back of their head will be gone. Or the back of their, like where their fluff is gone. And quail are worse. They're brutal. I have too many males right now. I'd say about 6 to 1. 6 hens, quail hens or chicken hens to one rooster. Because they're, man, this one has 12 eggs. This is chickens, right? I have 6 black astrolop and 1 roux in there. Do you know all of those eggs were fertile? I'm not saying all of the roosters are the same, but the young ones, oh my gosh, they're maniacs. And if you have more roux than chicks, you're going to have a bunch of hens, quail hens or chicken hens that all beat up. As a matter of fact, they'll go after your chicks. Them jokers don't care. They don't care. So let me see if I missed anybody. Does anybody have a question about quail or chicken? I'm more experienced in chicken than quail. By the way, I like chickens better. quail don't get along. They don't get along. They fight. They beat each other up. And I just found out they'll beat the chicks up. I thought I could put the chicks in there and be fine. No, they will beat your chicks up too. So don't put them in there unless you watch them like a hawk, because they're something else. They're nothing. Now with chickens, in order to incorporate a new chick or chicken, what I do is I have a dog pen inside the coop. I'll keep the chicken or the chicks in that doghouse, which is a metal doghouse where the chickens can see it, for about a week to 2 weeks until the chickens don't pay those chicks or chickens any mind. You don't want them to pay attention to them. The worst thing you could possibly do is to take a chicken, or not a chicken, is to take chicks or full-grown birds and throw them into a new pen. What's going to happen is the rooster's going to go after them to the point where, you know, somebody ain't standing. It's like the last bird standing. Same thing with quail. Quail are way meaner. They're way meaner. You got to be so careful. You'll go away for an hour and everybody be fine, and then you come back and somebody got the eye dotted out, and you're like, what happened? And you don't know who did it. Everybody looks so pleasant. They look like little Muppets. They're so cute, but they're mean. They're mean. Roosters and hens will go after. They'll cull your chicks. They'll cull a strange bird. Only birds they don't cull is them finches that come in. And I wish they would go ahead and get those jokers, because they're coming in there stealing food. But if you throw a new bird into a flock of birds that don't know that bird and has not been properly introduced, aka caged inside the cage. So I have the pen right there, and I have a doghouse, and I keep the chicks in there until everybody start ignoring them, because that's what I want. I don't want them to pay attention. Same thing if I put a bird in there, because I've introduced new roosters into that pen, and I'll keep him in that pen for a week or two until, you know, they stop flaring up on him, because they'll go around his cage and be trying to peck him from the outside inside. So you want to give them about a week or two to get used to them, and then you could just open it up. Once they start ignoring that bird, that's when you open them up and you go ahead and let it go. Now, there's some people who have success stories about just throwing a bird or throwing all their chicks in there, but most people know that bird is going to get attacked, pecked to oblivion till it meets its maker. You'll just find it, you know. That has never happened to me, but I have gotten so close with those, especially with those, I want to call them finches, with those quail. Quail have very thin skin, and if they peck them, the skin rips. It's so heartbreaking to find a bird like that. And you're like, wow, how could they have done that to their own kind? But they don't know that bird. They're like, who are you? What you doing in my hood? And beat them up. And keep on beating them up. So anyway, it's not funny, but it's funny. I know. And then there's another thing that I don't do, and that's called free ranging. I see people talk about that all the time, and I'm like, what? Everybody got hawks. They got hawks, eagles, falcons. What else? Vultures. Vultures will eat live things if they can catch it. They don't care. You don't have to be gone. They'll make it gone. This happened in Bastrop County. I was talking to a lady, and I've already said this on a video. She says, oh, everybody's looking for birds out here because between the coyotes and the overhead predators, we don't have any birds left. That's why I got nets everywhere. It's not because of this bird thing that's going on. It's because they were swooping in here, picking up my chicks and gone. You start counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Where's Fifi? Gone. No sign of the bird. They just pick it up and they fly off with it. So, and they do that with hens, not just chicks. They'll take your chickens and free range. They gotta be out of there. They'll be out of their mind. One lady asked me, do your birds free range? You know, they say the eggs are supposed to be. I was like, no. Go out to Bastrop County and ask them if they free range and how that went for them. They ain't got no birds. Them things got picked off. One by one by one. The only birds that they don't go after is the big ones. And even those sometimes get taken out by coyote, foxes, and dogs. Dogs will go after your flock. If they're not the type of dog that has been acclimated to protect the hens, they'll go after your birds. G Mama grows harder than God. It's not funny, but it is. Yeah, they lost all their birds. She looks so sad because that's a lot of money. Birds are going for, at Callahan's, our store, is $35 a hen starting. That's the cheapest ones. Imagine something taken out, about 10 of those jokers. Gone. Coyotes or wild dogs. Wild dogs probably won't even cull your animals. They just get rid of them and leave the carcasses right there for you to find. Or you'll find a head or two, everywhere. No free ranger for me. Nowhere. I'll never do that. I'll always have something, an overhead cover for the birds. So does anybody have any questions for hatching chicks and what you're supposed to do after you have them hatched is in reference to the brooder and when to put them outside. You put the birds outside when they're fully feathered. So with chickens, I say in about 8 weeks, you can put them out, maybe less. You'll know because they look all fluffy when they're babies, right? And their feathers, once they're feathers, that's why they call it fully feathers. Once they don't have any more baby hair, you toss those jokers outside. Or toss them out of their brooder. Some people keep them in their house. Some people keep them in their garage. I keep some of mine in my greenhouse. Keep them in a shed. I mean, as soon as they're ready, you get them out and you get them back into their cage. Especially when you have a little brooder like that. Like mine. It ain't no fun having them jokers in the house. I'm just telling you. If you don't keep that brooder clean, your chicks are going to get sick after a while. That's the first thing. You got to keep it clean. They're babies. And you ain't going to be able to breathe. Quails smell horrible. That's why I got them out. They weren't even fully feathered. I said, it's warm enough. Bye. Bye-bye. Go outside. Quail, ugh, bad. Does anybody have any questions in reference to hatching, brooding, and incorporate them into the flock? I'll wait. I don't think I left anything out. I think I covered everything that I thought I was going to cover. Well, I'm going to get off. It's been about 43 minutes, and I just wanted to cover that for anyone who is interested in starting their own flock and starting from scratch. Hatching eggs are running about $10 a dozen for the backyard hens. If you want the special stuff, well, some of them can go as high as about $15, $20 an egg. Okay. This is Jamerica with Jamerica Life. I thank everybody for being with me. If you want to go ahead and get some birds, go ahead and do it. Chicks are a little bit more delicate than a full-grown hen, but if you're incorporating a full-grown hen into your flock, be careful with that too. When is your next garden video? Probably, did I put one out today? I think I put one out today. Last night at midnight, I put one out. I was planting a tree. Yeah, that's what it was. I was planting not a berry tree, a container tree. So, okay, I'm on it. Diary of a Fat Girl. If I missed you, I'm so sorry. I thank all of you. Hello, Mr. Motivator 35. G Mama Grows Hard in the Garden. Diary of a Fat Girl. Broke Farmer. I didn't see anybody else. I apologize if I missed you. I was running my mouth. But I want everybody to know how to do that. I thank you guys for being with me. This is Jamerica with the Jamerica Life. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one, all right? Bye, y'all.